the jury in the above entitled cause find the defendant, Scott B. Peterson, guilty.
When Scott Peterson was found guilty of double murder and sentenced to death 13 years ago, his family began the long process of trying to get him a new trial. Scott's mother, Jackie, passed away 3 years ago, but the rest of his family and his legal team continues to fight for his freedom.
And ultimately, I think our goal also is justice for Laci and Connor. I mean, we have an unsolved crime. Everybody thinks it's solved. It's not solved.
My daughter's been missing since this morning. She's 8 months pregnant.
Laci Peterson was 8 months pregnant when she disappeared from Modesto on Christmas Eve 2002. Police would spend the first hours searching for Laci near the Petersons' homes. Laci's story touched people around the world. Hundreds of volunteers helped search for the mother-to-be they didn't know but had fallen in love with.
We want her to come home and her poor baby.
After initial searches turned up nothing, fear set in. Laci's family believed she'd been kidnapped while walking the dog.
Please bring our daughter home.
Police, on the other hand, immediately focused in on Scott, in part because of the way he was acting the night Laci was reported missing.
When did you realize you were going to go fishing?
Oh, that was a morning decision.
Over the next few days, while investigators searched the home and seemed to be focused on Scott, Laci's family came to his defense.
We love Scott. He loves Laci. They love each other.
There's no evidence whatsoever that would point to him. They're way off base, and anyone assuming that.
But a few weeks later, everything would change. Peterson, it turned out, had a girlfriend named Amber Fry.
Scott told me he was not married. We did have a romantic relationship.
Before going public, Amber Fry worked with police, recording more than 12 hours of phone conversations with Scott Peterson. On New Year's Eve, just before a vigil for Laci, Scott was on the phone with Amber, pretending he was in Paris.
Amber, it's New Year's Day. Are you there?
Yes. Are you having a good time?
I'm near the Eiffel Tower.
The tapes would prove pivotal at trial. Michael Belmessieri was juror number 4.
He wasn't in Paris. He was very casually speaking to his lover on a phone while they're looking for his wife.
It took jurors 8 days to reach a guilty verdict.
But justice was served.
We'd be very surprised if Scott's conviction was not overturned.
The main reason is that there was never any forensic evidence tying Scott to the murders.
There's no scratches, there's no fiber evidence, there's no DNA, there's no blood evidence, there's no murder weapon, there's nothing. There's nothing that ties Scott to this crime.
The night before she disappeared, Laci talked with her mother by phone at 8:30. Prosecutors believed she and her baby were killed sometime later that night or the next morning. They believe Scott then transported her body in the back of this pickup truck to his warehouse, where he had an office and storage shed. They believe he moved Laci's body into this 14-foot fishing boat, which he then drove to the Berkeley Marina to dump his wife and son in the San Francisco Bay. But even prosecutors admit they're not exactly sure how he did it.
I've never seen a case where the prosecutor couldn't prove how it happened, where it happened, or when it happened.
He does not have time to do what he's convicted of doing.
The evidence shows that at 8:40, the morning Laci was reported missing, someone was online at the Peterson home shopping for women's clothing and a sunflower umbrella stand. Laci had a sunflower tattoo on her ankle. Then at 10:30, Scott logged onto his warehouse computer for 26 minutes, sending a holiday greeting email to his boss and looking up how to assemble a woodworking tool he'd recently purchased.
At the time, according to the state, Scott has killed his wife earlier that morning, and she's in the truck outside on a public street. And he's inside on the internet looking about how to build a woodworking tool and sending holiday greetings. That's a psychopath.
People that think that Scott is just a psychopath that is taking you and the rest of the family for a distorted ride by not admitting guilt, but he is guilty. What do you say to them?
I guess I would circle back and ask him what piece of evidence makes you think he's guilty. And I'd want to, be specific.
Clearly, the most damning evidence is the fact that Laci and Connor's bodies washed up where Scott says he was fishing.
That is the probable cause that got him arrested, but that's not sufficient when his alibi was so widely publicized immediately.
Of course it's incriminating. Everyone in the world knew where Scott was. So anyone who had Laci or had killed Laci knew exactly where to put her.
Scott's attorneys and family believe he was convicted in large part because of his affair with Amber Fry and the audio recordings played for the jury.
How did you grapple with that, not knowing how he did it?
I don't know how he did it. I just know he did it.
How?
My belief is, a typical soft kill, that's, strangulation or smothering in the home.
Wouldn't that leave evidence?
No. The fact that nobody can tell you exactly how he did it is not nearly as important as the fact that they can tell you that based on all the evidence and testimony that he did do it.
The Petterson case is now the subject of 3 new documentaries.
There was a witness who said that he had observed a pregnant woman being put into a van.
2 are still in production. The third, titled Trial by Fury, which makes the case that Scott could be innocent, is expected for release next year.
If you think Scott Peterson ought to be released, if you think Scott Peterson is innocent, you're wrong. He should not be released, and he is not innocent.